Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel and my craft table. This video today is going to be a kickoff video for my 2025 Christmas crafting series. So in this series, I plan on doing a variety of craft decor, gifts, and cards for the Christmas season for 2025. I'm hoping that you'll join me, and I look forward to seeing you in the craft room. So let's head down to the craft table right now and get started on today's project. Thought today I would just kick this off with a quick and easy craft that is a great gift for anyone on your list. So let me tell you what we're going to do. First of all, I have these Cricut Infusible ink coasters. Now these are a 4 count. These are the square ones, so they have like a cork backing. And I'm actually going to be using 2 of these today, and I'm going to be using my Easy Press 2. Then I have this random box that I had in my craft stash. Kind of not sure what came in it originally, but these, I think they will fit in here. And we're going to put an iron on here on the front. And this will be basically a gifted set of coasters. And I'm only going to do 2 for a set. So this would actually make 2 gifts. I'm going to be using my Cricut Joy Extra today. I'm also going to be using some Infusible ink. Now this is the watercolor pattern, and I really like this middle one here. It almost looks like an Aurora Borealis. So I have a swatch here, and this right here is what I'm talking about. It's just really, really pretty. And it kind of has some purple and blue, and they just overlap, and it just makes me think of the Aurora, and that's going to be great for my design. I also have some iron-on vinyl for the top of the box, and now for this one, I'm going to be using my Easy Press Mini. So this will be the Easy Press 2, and this will be the Easy Press Mini. I also have scissors, my tweezers, weeding tool, some heat-resistant tape, just a standard grip mat for my Cricut Joy Extra, and then I'm also going to be using my heat pad here for the pressing. All right, so let's hop into Design Space. I want to show you the design that I made and how I made it, so it won't take very long. Let's do that. And then I'll meet you right back here so that we can put everything together.
Okay, here I am in Design Space, and I have a blank canvas brought up for us. And we're going to go and find the mug design setup for Snowflake mug. So I'm going to click on Projects. Then in this little search box, I'm going to type Mug Design Setup and click Enter. And then I'm going to scroll down through all of the options that you see on your screen. And I'm going to scroll all the way down until I start seeing these choices right here. These are kind of like default Cricut designs. And then I want to find this one. But you can see right here on the far left, there is a snowflake. So I'm going to click on that. And it brings up this one that looks like confetti. I'm going to go to the drop-down menu right here, and then you have 4 options for snowflakes. The stackable and the beveled are specialty mugs. So one has a lip, one has a beveled bottom piece, and then you have these 2. The top one is your 12-ounce selection, and the next one is your 15-ounce selection. If you click on the top one, and you want to verify that you have the right size, just scroll down, and then you can see whether it is the 12 or 15-ounce mug. And if you chose the wrong one, then you can just go back to the menu and choose the correct one. But this one is the right size, so I'm going to click on Customize. Okay, here's my mug design setup, and I'm just going to zoom out. And then I'm going to click on this drop-down arrow right here. And I want to hide this outer perimeter. I don't need that, but I do need this snowflake piece. Next, I'm going to bring in a shape. So I'm going to bring in a square and collapse that menu. Let's make our square 4 inches square. Let's go ahead and change it to white. And this is going to represent my coaster. So it looks like our snowflake mug design setup is behind. Let's go to edit and then arrange right here. Let's click on that and bring to front. And then we'll collapse that menu again. And now we have the design set up on the front. Next, you just take it and you move it. Like, do you want your snowflakes at the edge of the coaster? Do you want them a little bit in? Kind of like, whatever you personally think looks good to your eye. And I'm going to come up here to the lock proportions button, click on that. And then I'm actually going to increase the height of my mug design setup. I'm going to change it to a 4. Okay, you also can just, instead of using those arrows, you can just type a 4. And then I'll go ahead and lock that back. All right, so I think I want it to be, like, this looks like it's halfway, but I want it to be about, let's say, 3/4 of the way. And so this is a little offset. I'm going to drag and select both images. I want to go to edit, and I want to go to align, and then I want to center vertically. And now when I click off of that, you can see over here, you can see my coasters just kind of peeking out. All right, I'm going to select both of them. Then I'm going to come down here to the bottom of the layers panel, and I'm going to select slice. Okay, so that's going to give me several things going on. It's going to give me some snowflakes here. It's going to give me some more snowflakes, and it's going to give me this. So this in particular is the blue piece here. This blue piece is what I'm going to be cutting into my Infusible ink. So I'm going to go ahead and keep that piece. And then I'm going to get rid of this one here. And I'm actually going to get rid of that one there. I don't need it. So this will represent one coaster. This will represent the other coaster. And I'll go ahead and change that to blue as well. And they look a little smaller than they need to be. But if I were to go back to shapes, let's pull up another square. Let's change it. Let's change it to like a light gray just for contrast. And let's change it to 4. Okay. And then if I were to click on edit, send it to the back, and then grab both of them, edit, and align center. I don't want to align center, but I'll move that in a second. I should have just centered vertically. But if I move this over here, just like that, now you can see this gray part would represent the coaster, and then all of this blue would be the Infusible ink, and that is how I'm going to place it on the coaster before pressing. So these are actually the perfect size, and I'm going to just let those be as they are. Okay, now I want to also find a tag. So let's go into images, and in this search bar, I'm going to type for you, and it'll bring up a huge amount of images from the library. And then I'm going to scroll down. Okay, this tag right here. I'm going to use that tag. So I'm going to click on it. It will add it to my canvas. I'm going to keep going. Okay, and I'm going to use this for you right here. Click that, add it to my canvas, and now I can collapse that menu. As far as this very large for you, I'm going to size it down. This is going to be some white glitter. So I'll use glitter HTV for this one. That'll be white glitter. And this tag, I'm going to have to come over here to my layers panel. The for you part, let's go ahead and hide that because that is a pin feature. And you'll see later in the video when I'm actually weeding the material that I actually had to pause what I was doing and come back into Design Space and create this for you piece for HTV vinyl. And then I covered this up here on the tag. I decided to go ahead and include in this portion of the video up front that I'm going to hide the original pin feature. Okay, so if you're using HTV or adhesive vinyl, I would just hide that and pull something else in. If you are using paper for your tag, you could absolutely leave that feature in and use a Cricut pen to draw. So I'm going to hide that, and then here is my tag. Let's change our tag to red because I'm going to be using some red HTV, and then I'm going to bring this over, set it about right there, and then let's zoom in and see if we like the placement. Click on the For You. Maybe I'll tilt it just a little bit, but actually I like that, and I like the sizing. So I'm going to leave that as is, and there is my tag. And I don't want to attach the red tag. I don't want to attach it to the For You piece because I need them to be from separate materials. Now, as far as the For You, I do need to come down and click on the arrow over here. I want to hide the heart. I actually don't need the heart. And I also, it's a basic cut, so I don't need to attach it. This is an image. It's not a writing font. So we have our tag. And this is going to be red HTV. We have our For You. That will be white glitter HTV. And then we have our blue snowflakes, and that will be our infusible ink. So then I'm going to come over here to my square. I'm going to hide the square. I don't need that. And if I were to click on Make, it is asking me to save it. I'm not going to save this for right now. I'm going to be using my Cricut Joy Extra. Let me come up here and change to Cricut Joy Extra and on the mat and confirm. All right, so this is the mat that I'm going to be using. I am going to use mat number 3, and I'm going to be putting my snowflakes here. Okay, and in fact, let's spin this one 180 degrees and move it just a little bit closer. So you can see that I got my 2 snowflake coasters here, right? And they'll cut out of that top feature, okay? And then let's go ahead and go to the tag. Now this tag, I'm going to bring it to the bottom of this mat. And it's red right now, and that's corresponding to the HTV I'm going to use. But I want to do one mat for everything. So here I'm going to do the tag. I'm going to move it into this bottom corner. You could do the same thing with this For You. I'm going to move it down into this opposite corner over here. This is where my For You is. It's white. It's going to be white glitter. I don't want to cut it all at one time. I just want to use one mat. So I need to leave it on its own mat. This is going to be glitter, and I'm going to place the glitter HTV on the mat in this corner. When I go to materials in a minute, I'm going to be selecting glitter HTV, and the For You is going to be in this bottom right-hand corner of my mat. I'm only going to do one mat, so I'll have the glitter in the bottom right. In the bottom left of the same mat, I'm going to put my Everyday Iron-On. That'll be the red. And then when I click on Continue, I'll be choosing the red I'll just be choosing Everyday Iron-On for my selection. And then mat 3, my infusible ink will be placed up here at the top. So everything is going to be placed on one mat. And yet I'm going to take the same mat and I'm going to run it through my Cricut 3 different times because I have my materials in different places and they do require different settings. So if I go to Customize, we're on mat number 3 right now. So I would need to choose this infusible ink sheet, and I do like to do more pressure. For the very first mat, okay, so this is that glitter iron-on that's down in the bottom right-hand corner. So I would go to Browse All Materials. I would scroll down to Iron On, and then you can see right here it says Glitter Iron On. So I'd click on Glitter Iron On, and I would click on Done. Okay, and then this would ask me to select my pressure. I do press more for Glitter Iron On, and I do press more for the Infusible ink. So that's what I would have for this particular mat. For mat number 2, I would just be choosing Everyday Iron On, and I would just choose regular pressure. Okay, oh, and another thing, the mirror. Nowadays, the mirror automatically comes on. If you noticed that from earlier, as soon as you select an iron-on or an infusible ink material, the mirror automatically turns on for you. But I do like to check it. So it is on. This one would be the Everyday Iron-On and default pressure. And then finally, mat 3, again, I would choose infusible ink and more pressure. And you can see the default is on. Okay, so that is how I would run everything through my Cricut, and you'll see that here in a moment when we go to the overhead camera. So for right now, I'm gonna click on cancel. All right, let's head back to the craft table and let's get all of these things prepped on our mat and cut out.
Okay, so now let's go ahead and prep our mat. We'll remove the protective cover, and then I'm only going to be using one mat because my designs are small enough that I can actually use the mat for both of them, even though I'm going to have to run it through twice. And what I mean by that is, for instance, this is my iron-on, and I'm going to put that down here in this bottom left corner. Okay, and I'm actually going to brayer that down. I forgot to mention that in the supply list. Okay, so this is going to be my iron-on design. And then this is the watercolor Infusible ink. So if you haven't worked with Infusible ink before, it's fantastic. It's basically sublimation ink that's already on a thick piece of paper for you. And it's got like a built-in transfer sheet. And it is just fantastic. I actually really like the Infusible ink, and I even have a sublimation printer, but I really do like the Infusible ink. Now, I will tell you, your hands need to be dry and clean, so no oils, no lotion, no anything like that, just kind of dry. Okay, so I need about 4 inches. Okay, and I always go a little bit over, just so I want to make sure that I have all the spacing that I need. Okay, so there is the one I'm going to use, and this I'm just going to roll back up and put in the box with the rest of the Infusible ink. Okay, and then next I am going to cut off this little square right here. This is that little bitty corner is what I used to make my ink, my little swatch that I showed you earlier. So then with Infusible ink, this is going to go face up like this. And I actually don't even need it that wide. I just need it about this wide. Okay, so just like our iron-on vinyl, shiny side down, I'm going to place it here on the top of my mat. And again, I'm going to use my brayer, get that nice and secure down on my mat. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and bring in my Cricut Joy, open that up. And I already have everything on my screen here. Okay, so I have my mat number 1 on my screen is for the Everyday Iron-On. So I'm going to go ahead and stick this into the machine. All right, so it's ready to go. I'm going to go ahead and click go on my screen and follow the prompts. It's going to cut the Everyday Iron-On vinyl down here in this corner. And make sure that you absolutely have your mirror on for both of these. So shiny side down on the mat and turn the mirror on if it doesn't default it already on your machine. Okay, so now that this is done cutting the everyday iron-on, I'm going to click unload on my computer screen. Okay, so I have this pulled out of my machine, and I'm going to actually go ahead and click Mat 2 on my computer screen. It is set for Infusible ink sheet. I'm actually going to go ahead and do more pressure for this one, and then it's going to ask me to load this back into my machine. All right, now that everything is measured and ready to go, I'm going to click go on my screen, let it do its thing, and then we'll pull that out when it's finished. Okay, now this is done. I'm going to go ahead and click unload. Okay, and pull this off. Then I'm going to close my machine and move it out of the way. All right, so just like any other project, I'm going to turn my mat over, and I'm just going to peel the mat away from the vinyl and the infusible ink. Okay. All right, and then I'm going to be putting my protective sheet back on my mat and set this aside. All right, so for this design here, now this is going to go on our little box, and I'm going to actually cut off this. That would be great for a sentiment of some kind, and so with this one. So I know these seem extremely small, but every once in a while I need an extremely small piece, so I'm going to set those aside. Let's go ahead and weed this out. Okay. So let's see here. We've got, actually we've kind of cut some small pieces. So I'm going to pull this up. Okay. Now this is going to be our little bow right here. So something that I just realized is the words for you, which are up here like in a scripty font. It originally was a writing font, so like a pen feature, and I changed it to a basic cut feature. It doesn't cut out the words for you, it just wrote them essentially. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to get this weeded. I'm going to grab some glitter iron-on. And then I'm going to just do a text font, and I'm going to do a glitter right here. I'm going to layer the iron-on vinyl. So let me go ahead and do that, and I will be right back. All right, I have cut out the words for you, and this is a great example of just needing a tiny little piece of iron-on vinyl. This is a white shimmery glitter. And I literally just needed probably about 2/3 of this entire space right there. So just another piece to go in my scrap bin. And next we're going to start getting this on here. So I have my Easy Press Mini. It's heating up right now. The thing with layering iron-on vinyl is that you want to be really careful with the first layer. So you don't want to heat that up way too much, just enough to be able to get the carrier sheet off. And then you put your second layer down, and then you heat that again, and you go for a little bit longer. But again, neither of the layers need a tremendous amount of time. Okay, so we got that pulled away. I'm just going to cut this off. I'm going to set that off to the side for right now. Make sure all of my iron-on vinyl is clear from my work surface. And then we're going to be setting this down like that, and then iron that on. And then we're going to do this one, and then it will complete the look. So that's going to be super nice. All right, so I'm going to make sure to monitor my project. Now let me make sure I like the placement. Let's do this. I'm going to place the inside of the box underneath. I'm going to set this on top, and that way I have kind of like some pressure. I can put some pressure. Okay, and I can kind of see where the carrier sheet is starting to separate. And this is a textured box, so probably the HTV will take on the pressure or the texture of my box. Okay, let's try it. I'm hoping that this iron-on vinyl will work nicely. Oh, look at that. That's fantastic. I love that. I'm going to stick my little glitter for you on here. Okay, so like that. Okay, and then I'm just going to stick a little Teflon sheet over because I don't want to touch the exposed vinyl with my Easy Press Mini. Cool that off. Okay, so let's see if we can pick up that carrier sheet right there. Oh, that looks fantastic. I'm going to just do one more pass. 1, 2, 3. So that looks really good. And go ahead and replace everything the way it was. And I'm just going to set that over to the side. Okay, so for the next part of the project, I'm going to be using the square coasters, and I'm actually just going to be using 2 of them. I'm going to get 2 gifts out of this one package. So let me cut this open. Okay, so I just need 1 and 2. So they come with these little sheets in between, and then those other 2 can just hang out back in this little box. Okay, I'm gonna wipe these off with a lint-free cloth. I just get these off of Amazon. They're so soft. I'm sure you've seen them, these gray and teal ones. These are hands down my favorite lint-free cloths. I use them for almost everything, really. Okay, next let's talk about this right here. I'm going to grab a little magnet to hold that down. I'm going to cut these in half so that I can work with them better. And cut off that edge there. All right, so for infusible ink, when you are working with that, you're going to basically curl it in your fingers, and you kind of want to hear like a cracking. So then I'm just going to grab a corner edge. There we go. Rip that off. And then, okay, that's my easy press. All right, here we go. What I'm going to do is I'm going to lift off. This square is going to stay here, but I'm going to lift off all of this extra, and it will reveal those snowflakes. But I'm going to do it very carefully because I don't want to pull up the snowflake itself. I want the snowflakes to stay onto this carrier sheet. So I'm just going to be super careful. Okay, so we just take our time and we just go slow. And then there's going to be some interior pieces that I will need to probably use my tweezers for. Okay. So I'm going to check that in just a moment. Okay, so I think that's it. I don't think there's anything else to pull off of there. And just like my HTV, I'm going to make sure that I get all of this to be put away. Okay, so that's going to be for one. I'm going to go ahead and take care of the other one. All right, I'm going to bring in my easy press mat. I'm going to place a piece of butcher paper down to protect my mat. And then we're going to place these coasters glossy side up. Now again, I've handled them, so I want to go ahead and make sure there's no lint or anything on here. Okay, so just like that. All right, so we got our glossy side up, and then I'm going to take this sheet right here, and I'm going to get it positioned. And I want to make sure that the cork side is covered all the way around. And then I'm going to grab some of my heat resistant tape because I need to make sure that this does not move. Okay, so I'm going to put one along there, and then I'm going to get this one and curl that around. Then I'm going to grab my other one here. Okay, and I'm going to do the same thing. Okay, I feel like I definitely need more tape. So I'm going to put this right across here, and I'm going to fold it around just so that it stays, and then just kind of fold it onto itself like that. Okay, and that way it doesn't continue to pop right up. All right, so we have our coasters glossy side up. We have the design is face down and the liner is facing us. I'm going to cover this with another piece of butcher paper, and then I am going to put my Easy Press 2 on here. Now it says press with no pressure at 400 degrees for 60 seconds. When it's done, I'm going to slowly lift it straight up, and then I'm going to remove everything, and then we'll let them cool. And I'm just going to place this upside down, and we're going to hit go. All right, I will see you in about 60 seconds. Okay, so now that this is done, I'm going to lift it straight up, just like that. Okay, set that back in its cradle, and then we're going to let these cool completely. So I'm just going to pull my mat out from underneath, and this is just sitting on top of my glass mat, which is a cool surface. All right. Okay, and I'm just going to let that sit. Hopefully my design will come out perfect the way I'm expecting. Okay, so I think they're ready. Just want to show you that this is why the butcher paper is important. So if your design bleeds out over the edges of your object, then this is obviously going to be thrown away, but this is what's going to protect your Easy Press mat from getting any infusible ink on it. Okay, so let me grab my scissors, and I'm going to cut away the tape. And this is one of them. Oh, that looks so good. Cut away this tape as well. All right, you can see that this infusible ink did a great job coming off. Every single drop of that ink came completely off. And so just like snowflakes, they're different. So we got this one and this one. Oh, how cute. All right, let's see if they fit inside this box over here. And then this will complete our gift for today. I'm going to go ahead and just leave this little piece of cotton that's down in here. Okay, and then, oh, here's another piece of tape. Let me grab that. Okay, so I got one there, and then one there, and then put the lid on, and there we go. How cute is that? What a great gift. How nice. All right, my friends, this came out so good. I'm so excited about how this came out. First, I love the fact that I found this little box and I was able to repurpose it. It was really nice that this HTV laid down on this textured surface, and I'm glad that I had some glitter extra. That was just super fun. And this box can be regifted by the recipient. So it's like a box that keeps on giving. Then these little coasters, I love these. These came out great. First of all, they are so unique and different in and of themselves. And I love how the watercolor infusible ink sheet reminds me of that Aurora Borealis. So this was so perfect. I just love it. And also, I still have 2 more, so I can make a whole nother gift for someone else. I can even do a different design. I can do a different color. I can just make a whole nother gift with 2 more coasters left in the package. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I'm still planning on doing some more cards, crafts, and gifts for the 2025 holiday season. So I'm hoping that you'll join me again. And until I see you in the next card or craft, as always, have an amazing day and happy crafting.
Thank you all so much for watching today. I'm so glad that you can join me at my craft table. If you're not already, I'd love to have you as a subscriber, and don't forget to hit that notification bell. That way you'll know when new videos arrive. Have a great day, and as always, happy crafting.